This is Pranay from StarAgile. Welcome to the webinar on why IT industry is going behind DevOps. Today our presenter is Mr. Chaitanya. He's an international trainer with 20 plus years of industry experience. He has trained more than 5,000 professionals and delivered more than 10,000 hours of training on various tools and technology, including DevOps. Without any further delay, I will pass on the proceedings to Mr. Chaitanya. So requesting you to proceed with the webinar.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the webinar on why industry is going behind DevOps. My name is Chaitanya. I welcome you all on behalf of StarAgile. So please confirm the chat window if you're able to hear me. Any voice, is it clear? Could you all confirm the chat window, please, so that I can start the session? Okay, Satya says yes. Okay, I get a fair feedback. So let's start off. So let's understand in very brief about what is DevOps today and why DevOps. I'll also talk about the DevOps stages, various tools used in DevOps, and we'll end up by understanding about the course content, which is a StarAgile offering. And at the end, we'll have a FAQ session. So since we have lots of participants in here, I request everyone to have in their questions to be asked at the end of the session. So saying this, let me start. So first thing is, what is DevOps? So DevOps is called as Dev and Operations, and this is what DevOps is. So how did the DevOps evolve? So long way back in software, the methods we used was, first one was waterfall. So waterfall is a methodology wherein you need to start first design, code, test, then you need to do one by one. This is something like methodology, where you need to do the second step only after first system. That is, you need to first design it, then you code it, then you test it. So all this one by one. And even if you make changes, again, the entire methods has to be followed. And also need to have a very good plan in prior. This is what waterfall, which was not very effective. This is where the methods of agile came into the software industry, wherein you had no flexibility with lots of tools came in, which could release the product to production soon. But still, there are some challenges wherein agile was more into development, not much into deployment, or not much of automation, or also people between the various teams like operations team, dev team, quality team, they did not have much interaction. This is where the concept of DevOps, which came, I think, 5 years back, which had lots of practices wherein cultural practices like how the teams can work together, how they can also resolve issues together, which would allow the product to be released to production as soon as possible. This is how DevOps evolved. Now, why DevOps? So I've seen this diagram. There are couple of development operations team. So now development team, they would sorry for this here. So development operations team, as a developer, what the developer will do is they prepare the code, and he wants always some changes to be done because he will be understanding the functionality of it. So it keeps on changing it. But again, operations, they need to have the changes to be done properly, more stabilized. That is, once released to any application or product released to production or any environment, it must be stable without any downtime or any with the performance issues. So always there would be some challenges between the various teams. For example, a customer application is live, customer would come back and say there is some problem. And development team would come back and say that this is not my issue. So they would pass on the ticket to Versioning is wherein you can make changes, and it would have changes about what changes you've done and when did you do. This is very important. So using this, you can easily understand what changes are done, and you can go back and reproduce what the changes was done. Second one is, if something happens, since you have a proper understanding as a team, you would understand where is the problem and you go and remediate the issues. So DevOps is broken the barrier between dev and operations team. This is all about what is DevOps, why is DevOps. So DevOps has multiple stages. It starts with a business. For example, a pre-sales team or a product owner would first speak to the customer and understand the specific requirements. For example, what application he wants, where the users are, how many users, what type of software requires. All the requirements are got from a pre-sales team or product team. So he passes on the requirements to software development team. And software development team using various tools, might be Eclipse tool, Visual Studio, so many tools using various languages like Java or Python they use, and they prepare the code. And once the code is done, you need to start sharing it or integrating with others. So how do you do it? So you can use tools like Git, which is open source tool using which you can install it on any platforms, and you can commit the code to GitHub. For example, you can commit the code to GitHub. And once the code is committed or integrated to GitHub, it needs to be built and tested. So for which you can use build tools, for example, Maven tool, lots of tools are there you can use, or you can use a single tool like Jenkins, which can do both build and test. So what in build and test, it means that as soon as developers make commit changes, each and every time doing it manually, build and test is going to be very slow. So Jenkins is an auto build wherein you can define automatically to build and test it by using pipelines or using a jobs. You can do it using Jenkins. And once this is done, you can again have tests to be done. For example, in Eclipse, you have different types of tests like JUnit, which is for unit testing. Or you can also use performance testing like Blaze. Different tools are there you're testing, for which you need to write in test scripts, and you might have to do some pre-work. Then once it is tested, it starts with you deploying the application on a specific VMs, for example. So you can deploy VMs manually, or inside a container, you can deploy multiple platforms we have. But in DevOps, preferred is you would want to use containers, Dockers, and Kubernetes. Along with that, you want to start using management tools like Chef, Puppet, and Ansible. These are quite famous, wherein you can create a master-slave architecture, and you can update the configuration on one of the masters, and automatically it will be pushed the configurations to the slave nodes or host nodes you can talk about. And the last one is monitoring. What is monitoring is all about? Every customer would have an agreement with the company for who's supporting. So it's also the company is responsible to ensure that SLA is maintained or service level is achieved. So hence you need to have monitoring tools like Nagios, or in cloud you have integrated Amazon CloudWatch, in Google Cloud you have Stackdriver, lots of tools. So this DevOps could be either achieved on premises or on cloud. Preferably, if you're looking for more managed services, you want to move on to cloud. But if you think still that you want to own yourself, you can use on-premises tools also. So these are the various DevOps stages. Now, what are various tools? So DevOps is categorized into 5 cycles. The first one is continuous development. So what is continuous development? So continuous development is the stage in DevOps wherein developers create the code and they commit the code. So use version control systems like Git and then commit. All these things is your continuous development, for which you have Git, and HVN is older one, which is central versioning system. VST is lots of TFS, all these tools are there. Then once this is done, integration. Integration is wherein once you commit the code, how to integrate Jenkins, Spammer tool, Hudson. And your testing tools, lots of testing tools, JUnit, which is for your unit testing, Selenium is for a web application testing, then other tools are here. And your monitoring, so your deployment would be your Dockers, containers, along with Puppet, Chef, Ansible, and SaltStack. The last phase would be your continuous monitoring. So continuous monitoring, again, you have Nagios, which is quite famous, New Relic, Senso, these are all on premises. But still you do not want to use this within your cloud. For example, AWS DevOps, you have CloudWatch we can use. And if you want, you can use containers in ECS you can use. So it depends on your requirement. You can either work on premises or using your DevOps tools, in which various cloud providers support. So this is about the various tools in DevOps. Now, why are companies moving on to DevOps? So there are different benefits. First one is cultural benefits. It means that the teams can work together. So you don't have that throwing out the tickets or throwing issues that this is your responsibility. They have a proper understanding as to who has to work on these issues. And this helps the product to release to production as soon as possible. And people are happy. Hence, obviously, employee engagement is good, people are happy, and they will stay with the company, more production. The second is for business. So business is all about how quickly they can make rapid changes. If people are fine, if the people are working together, if they are able to understand each other, obviously they will release the software quite fast and more stable operating environment, because they would know what changes to be done, when to be done, all those things. So they would have a proper, for example, power monitoring tools will be established, and proper mechanism as reporting mechanism or incident mechanism, all this would be established properly because you have a proper understanding. The last one is technical benefits, how fast you can release the products. As I talked about, since DevOps is getting lots of automation tools like Chef, Docker, Kubernetes, this has increased the speed of release to the production. And any issues comes in, it is not that you need to follow methodology to do each and every step. You can go any step and then make the modifications, and you can start doing it. For example, you can do a blue-green deployment, and you can use, for example, CloudFormation. So lots of things could be again used in your DevOps to ensure that the changes are made quite faster. Now, what are the opportunities for DevOps certified people or people who have learned DevOps? So this is for everyone. For example, if you're looking for a change of job, this is a good field because DevOps is hot in the market. Everyone looks for, you will learn DevOps. Do you have DevOps? Certification, yes, you have certification. For example, you have DevOps Skills Association, which supports DASA, fundamentals, and you also have DASA Professional. And also, if you want to go very much into Agile later, also you can go to Scrum. Lots of tools are there. So these are the required roles which company look for. Either DevOps manager, or you can master yourself, wherein understand about what are the various components, what component fits in where in DevOps architecture. Automation engineer, wherein you might have to work on tools like Ansible, like Chef or Puppet. Software tester is wherein how you can test a unit test or performance test, how do you do it, how easily you do it, what experience you have. Security engineer is about how you can secure an environment, applying various security principles. For example, DevSecOps talks about how you can ensure security for your DevOps principles. Integration specialist is more might be into your Jenkins specifically as to how you can integrate with various tools. A release manager is more into releasing, might be analyst here, release analyst, wherein or a manager in which how you can ensure that the product is released to test first properly and then to a dev, pre-prod and the prod. So lots of opportunities are there. So DevOps is very preferred in here. For example, even if you're a cloud person, you also need to have a good knowledge on DevOps these days. And scope. So when DevOps started, it all started might be in 2016 in US or other countries. In 2018, it has got very high momentum. And I'm sure that all companies are following DevOps practices these days. And we have seen practically companies have achieved lots of benefits when they start using DevOps. And in the future, all companies, they are going to make teams as a DevOps team. That is, in a business unit, for example, they are going to make a DevOps team wherein all people might be, for example, one person, he might need to know about continuous development, continuous integration, continuous testing, even though it is a deployment. For example, is a very server guy. So he needs to be strong on the concepts of Docker, Kubernetes, but you also need to have a fair idea about how each component works. This is what I expect in the future. And hence, people are trying to learn DevOps very soon. And this is the best time because this is because of COVID-19. This is the best time to start learning these new technologies. And this is one of the most preferred technology in the IT industry right now. So who benefits? Anyone can benefit. My answer is, but it's very specifically, for example, if you're a developer or manager, architect, operations support, you see that all the skills, anyone can move. For example, operations support, you can move on to a DevOps engineer, for example, architect, DevOps architect, release manager, and he can become an integration person, or even for a higher person, even need to have a knowledge of DevOps. So prerequisites for doing this course is not very specific, but better that if you have a knowledge of Linux and basics of how to use your vEditor tools or web tools would help you. With the course features, so StarAgile offers you this course, and I will be the trainer. I have 20 plus years of experience. I've conducted 100 plus trainings on cloud and DevOps, and we'll also help you to complete a project once you're done with the training. So the training starts from May 9th. So it will be on weekends between 9:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. So it starts on May 9th and ends on June 6th, on a weekend. That'll be the training. We also have some batches starting in June. The first batch is on May. And for any questions, you can contact these. So let me talk about now what is the course and what all it happens, and then you could ask me questions. So this course is about how we'll understand about continuous development, continuous testing, integration, deployment using various tools. We first start with to understand about what is DevOps, why DevOps, difference between Agile and DevOps, the different cycles of DevOps, which includes the continuous development, integration, testing, all this in brief. Where is DevOps in the market? And in brief about the various tools of DevOps. We'll also talk about virtualization along with the basics of cloud. And we will be using free AWS account for doing the labs. And hence, we'll also talk about what is virtualization, what is cloud, which is required for you to start off. Module 2 is about continuous development, in which you learn about managing source code, that is tools like Git and GitHub. First, you'll learn about what is version control systems, difference between, for example, SVN and Git, what difference between each of them, why do you want to go for distributed control system, what is Git, how to install Git, how to work with Git. We'll also learn about how to work with Git, for example, basic Git commands for creating file, adding file, and then pushing on GitHub. Along with that, you'll also learn about how to do merging, branching, stashing, rebase, reverting, resets, all this using the labs. And we'll also learn about GitHub and how you can reuse your Git and GitHub together. So these were the practicals covered: Git installation and branching, merging, all these things. We'll also refer the Git cheat sheet, and we'll do all this in the labs. And we'll also see about how to push from your local system using Git commands to GitHub. Moving on further, in Module 3, we'll learn about various build tools. I'll give a comparison about various build tools like Ant, what is Maven, and Gradle. But in brief detail, we are going to talk about what is Maven, various plugins of Maven, what is an archetype or a template of Maven, and we'll learn about how to create your POM, where to see the POM and what syntax of POM, what are the various project IDs and those things in POM. And we'll do a simple project using Eclipse. We'll use a single project using Eclipse, and we'll see how you can use Maven to do auto test and resolve dependencies. So module 4, I'm getting in here because before Jenkins, I want to talk about Docker in here because I'll be using a container for Jenkins. And hence, I'll talk about first what is the difference between your container and a VM and why containers, benefits of containers, and how to manage containers using Docker. Along with that, I'll also talk about Docker architecture and the components like what is Docker host, Docker client, and Docker registry. And we'll learn about how to pull images, push images, all these things. So this will be doing the lab. So we'll install Docker and EC2 with your first image and manage containers, all the basics you'll learn about. And then with this knowledge, I will start teaching about how to use your continuous integration tool like Jenkins. So learn first about what is CI. We'll also talk about in brief about the various CI tools apart from Jenkins, also give a comparison so that you can understand which one to use in your environment. But we will talk very specific on Jenkins. First, what is Jenkins? Why do you want to use Jenkins? Jenkins architecture, like what master-slave architecture? What is master? What is slave? Why do you want to have a master-slave architecture? You'll learn about how to install and configure Jenkins in your Docker platform using a container. And we will again build a small job initially, see how it can do auto commit and all those things. Then we'll learn about Jenkins management, the various options in Jenkins like plugins, how to various options like various global controls or global variables, how can define it, and all the options in Jenkins management. In Jenkins build pipeline, we'll learn about how to create your complete pipeline. Pipeline, it means here is starting from your code commit, for example, starting from a Git and GitHub, how you can release the application to your environments like a test or prod different environments. So we'll concentrate on how to build a pipeline using your declarative. So we'll not be covering Groovy here. We'll be talking only about declarative, not the one. So these are the labs would be covered as part of your Jenkins. Further, I'll take all the questions once I'm done with this. So give me 5 minutes. Module 6 is about your continuous testing. We'll talk about what is testing in brief, what is the various types of testing being done in enterprises, and we'll talk about unit test. And we'll also talk about Selenium. Selenium is about how you can do a test for web applications, and JUnit is you can write in a code and you can use a JUnit internally within your Eclipse to do a test of it. In module 7, you start learning about Docker more. So how to create your own images using Dockerfile, and how to create, for example, your multi-container images, or for example, LAMP stack you want, or a Ming stack you want, and you want all this to be managed together. That is where you want to start using something called as Docker Compose. We'll learn about how to use Docker Compose. In Docker networking, I'll talk about what are the different types of networking, like what is host, what is a bridge network, other network, and we'll learn about Docker Swarm, which is orchestration. Orchestration, it means that how to manage multiple Docker hosts and how to load balance your services and how to create your containers on those will be part of your Docker Swarm. And these are the labs covered. So we'll learn about how to build images using Dockerfile, creating multiple containers using Docker Compose, how to create your user-defined networks, that is the default networks in Docker you cannot use for your customers. You need to create your own networks as user-defined network, and how to work with Docker Swarms and orchestration. Now moving on further, we'll learn about what is Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is all about how do you manage containers. For example, containers could be managed using platforms like Docker or Rocket or OpenShift. Lots of technologies are there. But enterprises, if they're having different types of container hosts, for example, maybe Docker one, Rocket host, different is there. How do you manage it together? That is where you want to start using Kubernetes, the open source, with a product of right now CNF, and before it was initially of Google. We learn about what is Kubernetes and difference between why do you want to use Docker Swarm, Kubernetes architecture, and how to install Kubernetes using kubeadm. So the mini version, Minikube, we'll also learn about a full version called as a Kube ADM, in which we'll create multiple EC2 instances and we'll deploy Kube using Kube ADM software to make a master and slave architecture. Once your setup is done, you'll start learning about how to create pods and deployments using YAML. So deployments means how you can do a rolling update, how you can make modifications, or even replica sets, how to create multiple copies of your containers, also part of deployments. Selectors and labels are something like a tagging, which is very required. For example, you want to do a billing or you want to do a backup or anything. Normally, when even for selecting a scheduler, all these things they use is scheduler, selectors and labels. Very important to learn about that. Well, then we learn about working with jobs. Jobs is all about how you can manage your batch application. So lots of requirements to be done one by one, how you can do using a job. Replica sets, rolling updates, scheduling, service. The services talks about how you can access your containers, which is running in your Kubernetes cluster, internally, externally, all you learn about in services. So in a hands-on, you learn about how to install Kubernetes, that is using a kubeadm, how to create pods and deployments, working with jobs, using replica sets, rolling updates, all these things would be part of your hands-on. All this will be done using AWS account. And in module 9, we'll learn about moving on to config management tools. We'll learn about what is a chef in brief. But since we do not work on Ruby much here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to a service called AWS OpsWorks in Amazon, which is a managed service using which you can use both Puppet and Chef. So we'll learn about what is OpsWorks, wherein how you can deploy applications on multiple EC2 instances using automation. That's what we're going to learn about, in which you'll also learn about what recipes and cookbooks and these things. But we are not going to do on-premises very specific on Chef in here. There's more of AWS specific. I'm going to talk about a Chef, and then we're going to work on AWS OpsWorks. In practicals, we're going to create a stack, for example, installing Node.js. For example, you want to install it on 10 EC2 instances. So we will create a stack and deploy the stack and see how to access the stack, and also making modifications, monitoring it, and again making one more version of it. All this will be part of your OpsWorks. And module 10 is about Ansible. So Ansible is Chef is all about pull mechanism. That is, the nodes can pull in the configuration from the server. Ansible is agentless. Chef is agent based. Ansible is agentless based, so which is much more preferred. So you will learn about in this what is Ansible, Ansible architecture, Ansible components, how to install, how to write an Ansible playbook, work with Ansible modules, and also how to use Ansible Galaxy, which is for your roles. And in which again we'll have all the labs being done. So my class would be almost 60% practicals, only 40% slides. And I will be sharing lab slides as well as lab guides with you, which you can use for a longer time. And also recordings would be available for you lifelong. I mean, it will be shared by StarAgile. You get complete access to this anytime. The last one would be on module 11 into the monitoring using Nagios. So I'll talk about what is Nagios monitoring tool, how to install it, what are the various options in Nagios. And once you understand about all these things, I'll briefly talk about how you can use a DevOps service in AWS. Why do you want to go on to DevOps service on a cloud? What are the benefits you're going to get into it? And in which you're going to talk about code commit, very similar to your GitHub, then code build, your Maven do something, code deploy, Jenkins. Those very similar features you can also achieve in Amazon. Those are the tools. And CloudFormation is very important, and Terraform's CloudFormation is you can create your stack without even writing, you deploying it manually. For example, you want to create a VPC or EC2 or some stack environment. You just create a code in JSON or YAML and you can upload it. That's within Amazon. But these days, companies are using multi-cloud platform. How can they stack? For example, someone wants to get a network or some storage component from Azure, might be, and you want to have some of the component from AWS. How can you integrate something like this? So Terraform could be used, where you can do integration between multi-cloud platforms. I talk about Terraform. So this is all would be reach, and the questions and the way to reach all this being given in the website. And this is the website of StarAgile. So this is a website of StarAgile. So anytime you can access this details, and you can see the details about all this one. So this is all about my explanation of the concept and the course. So we could ask all your questions now. StarAgile, can we unmute them, allow them to ask questions now?
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Yes, team, let me first see the questions in here. So you can start in questions. Okay, so funny question is, when you say test, is it only unit testing, functional testing in this stage? So we're talking only about unit testing and about performance testing and web application Selenium. Only these will be covered. Yeah. Any other questions, team?
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, I have
Yes.
a quick question. Like I'm doing my project management now, and I had some good background on this DevOps, and I've done my multiple certificates with StarAgile. So now a quick question is like, how can I utilize this like the DevOps project manager, as you said, like DevOps manager. So can you talk about that now?
See, DevOps manager is all about, for example, if you have a team of developers and system administrators, you can manage them, correct? So, for example, you have developer under you, and then you
Yeah.
also have analyst, a tester, analyst under you. How do you manage them? What practices you can ensure that so that they can work together? So you need to have a complete, you need to have a complete understanding about what is DevOps first and how it works. But you need not understand about very detailed. Might be you want to concentrate on release management so that you can understand that how critical is the releases. That is what you want to concentrate on. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's include a condition of we should have a DevOps team, like the
Yes.
people who knows the DevOps. Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome. So next question is, yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, hi Chaitanya, this is Chandan here. See, like this particular course, whatever content you have presented, right? So, is that a completely kind of a purely DevOps consultant role, or is majorly playing a role of a QA who is going to support for DevOps? In what context this? Training material. It's more into the QA's context of DevOps. So this is the question because of that actually.
Okay, this is more, it is not specific only for a developer guy or a quality guy. It is overall, because DevOps is all about for all the teams. Okay, so this was all about all the teams. For example, you learn about developing concepts. You'll also learn about integration concepts. You'll also learn about deployment, everything in here. And based on this knowledge, you want to start learning about other tools. But this is what is required for you to understand, because again, DevOps has, for example, hundreds of tools, correct? So I can call yes, lots of tools.
Definitely, this is a context of completely a kind of a context altogether towards the DevOps is going to give a clear picture on how exactly we are going to touch base all the areas which are all involved in the CI/CD.
Yes.
So by any chance, are we going to get this particular browser or content from StarAgile, by the way?
All is there. Anytime you can go to StarAgile website they talked about and just search for DevOps, and you have all these things in here. Everything's here. You can download it. And if required, anytime they can also share. People are here. They could once at the end, I'm going to give a poll, and once you've given your responses, they will contact you, and then you can ask any questions to them. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hey Chaitanya, this is Patanjali Shakti speaking.
Okay.
So Yes.
One. Okay, please.
Yeah, can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So my question was similar to the previous one. I mean, not this one, the one, the other gentleman who was a PM. So I also come with a similar background. So I played the role of a program manager, scrum master, and even release management activities that I did. Yeah, I also had this opportunity to deliver two projects in the AWS on the infra front. So what I'm trying to understand is that, so yes, this particular DevOps course that we have discussed about, yeah, for my background, so I'm into project delivery. So if I go through this, well, of course I do, since I started my career as a software engineer, so I do understand the coding aspects and all that. So my point is, your cover under this DevOps is all these sections and all these concepts. First question is it that you are going to cover the AWS DevOps or something related to even Azure also?
AWS DevOps, the last module. I'm just going to talk very brief about it. Our objective is not here AWS DevOps. Our objective is DevOps. And at the end, we're going to talk about how you can start using cloud, which can help you to make most of the DevOps services quite easy.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for my kind of, let's say if I have to go for a certification, my background into project delivery, which one would you recommend? What kind of, after pursuing the course, which certification would you recommend for me?
So it depends on you. For example, if you want to go on cloud, for example, specifically, you can go. But if you're learning in this, you can, they talked about, there is a DevOps Agile Association, like DASA Fundamentals, or you can go for DASA Professional, or with that knowledge, you can also learn on AWS DevOps, in which you can achieve AWS DevOps Professional. Lots of training is there. So these are 3 things I can recommend after this training.
So once any person registers for this particular course, undergoing the training, and once it is done, so for the certification again, is there any specific examination, online examination that he has to appear in order to get himself certified on that?
See, this course is not specific to DevOps certification. This course is specific to DevOps components you're learning in. Okay, so you need to learn about it. So, for example, let me give you some. So, one is you can look in for DASA fundamentals. I'm going to also DASA professional. So you can look into these, or if you are good in cloud, you can also, once you learn, you can also start learning about AWS DevOps Professional. This would help you for certification, but it is not complete a certification course. This one, yeah.
Okay, this is basically to form a background, to have a background and to have the fundamentals on the DevOps concepts.
Yes. Okay. Next question. I think a lady. Sorry. Could you please ask now?
Right. Yeah. So hi Chaitanya. This is Monica.
Hi.
Actually, a couple of years back, I have done my CSM, Certified Scrum Master, from StarAgile only. So, and apart from that, I have quite a good networking background. Like I am CCNP, and now my project is moving towards this DevOps thing. So I have been working there as a QA lead. So from my understanding, what I would like to understand that whether this DevOps, like when I see this DevOps, like after developer, right? So he writes a bunch of code. He does the check-in in GitHub, and after that, DevOps guys will take it and they will deploy it in Jenkins, and they will do some kind of testing over there. So where QA fits into the picture? What I am kind of getting the feeling,
so
not from
QA
there.
fits here. QA fits in here. These are things. Main thing is this. Integration, testing, this is where the QA then fits in. Yes.
So DevOps looks like that, like the replacement of QA, like from overall picture, it feels like that, from developer it is going to DevOps, and QA is like getting probably omitted from the picture, because these DevOps guys, they take the code from development, right? They deploy it, they do some kind of build sanity and whatever things they are doing, probably to a very minimal level. They are not doing from the regression suite point of view and all the other things. But like, how do we make a case of having the QA team while having DevOps and development team?
Okay.
So that's what
again, I understand. Again, QA, there are different types of QAs, correct? Some people will look for performance QA, correct? Different to, I'm not sure. Are you into mainly into software QA or into performance QA? What is into you? You are.
I'm in basically UI automation, like functional verification testing, like Selenium, Cypress, and all other those kind of things.
My answer would be that you need to have a good idea about the complete cycle first. Yes, and then strong on testing and integration.
Okay.
That's where you want to focus on. But you need to have a complete understanding about what is continuous development, what is integration, what is deployment, how our tools are there, monitoring. All this you need to have an idea. But specifically for you, you can testing would be for you, for example, which not included like Sonar Cube, which for your QA testing. Those things. So your concentration mostly into here, but you still need to have a complete idea about everything. That's the expectation.
That is for sure. And now I think with the agile thing, it's that is what my feeling says, that QA role is kind of getting omitted with this DevOps. Like, either you have to have some good knowledge of complete this CI/CD pipeline, so that you can play a good role in DevOps environment. So there is nothing called now separate QA and separate DevOps. So like QA is getting migrated to DevOps.
Yes. All right. Can I take next question? Thank Monica. I need to answer others also. If any more questions, please reach out to StarAgile. Okay. Next, I see the questions here. Some people are asking. Sorry. So, question. Answer the question. Okay, Sandhya, question is it person online training starting from May 9th? It's a weekend between 9:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. IST. It's till June 6th, right? June 6th, I think I just need to check it. I'm as a project manager, developer background. I think Parthasari answered your question. Jay, online, yes, online. This is not very specific to Azure DevOps. This is very specific to I'm talking about normal DevOps, but we are going to use your EC2 instances for working with your labs. Question by Amit is, we talked about container dev, integration, all. What are ops tools? So ops tools and operations tools, like your Docker, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, monitoring tools. These are operations tools. Yes. So any more questions, team? Did I answer? I think let me just go down here. What certificate? So certificate, you get a completion certificate by Agile. Once you complete your project, you get a completion certificate from Agile. Certificate in DevOps, you have a lot of certifications like DASA Professional, DASA Fundamentals, which is of DevOps Skill Association, or you can go for AWS DevOps or Azure DevOps with this knowledge. The person from soft, yes, you are eligible, Sanjay, very much, but preferably if you can learn a prerequisite like what is Linux basics and also how to use editor tools with the basics of how to use web tools, it will help you. Software requirement, very minimal. You just need to have an Amazon account and you need to install some tools, very basic. So like Putty and PuttyGen, Git tool, very basic tools. So Git, the tools I tell you, Git, Eclipse, then you need to install Putty and PuttyGen and Amazon free account and Eclipse. So these are the tools which you want to use. Fee structure, you can reach out to StarAgile if you have any questions. System requirement, preferably 64-bit machine and Chrome browser for EC2 and preferably a speed required. So preferably Windows is always preferred. Even if you're using Mac or Linux, if you can, if you're good in that, that's okay. If not, you can create a VM of Windows. In that, you can do a labs. Yes, it's online. So, anyone share course fees? Please reach out to StarAgile. So, Gyan, could you speak now? Okay, team. So, someone is trying to reach out. Okay, Manish. Manish, and I'm unmuting everyone. I'm not sure. Manish, you want to ask? StarAgile, could you please unmute others? They want to ask questions.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, I'm Satish. Hello,
Yes,
are you able to hear me? Yeah. Okay, I am having 23 years of experience. Actually, my background is from network operations. Okay, and currently into ITSM, IT service management. So I did CSM from StarAgile and also having certification of Prince to Agile. So if I want to have some background knowledge of DevOps, which certification do, because I'm saying here this course is of more core technical, I believe, because I'm not from software industry. If I want to go for any certification like SRE Foundation or like uh, DevOps leader. So what type of certification do you suggest to have a background knowledge of DevOps but not going into core technical?
Okay, so core technical talking about that is DASA, DASA fundamentals or DASA fundamentals you can do. DASA fundamentals, you can search. Yes, we can search for that. Apart from that, I'm not sure. The DASA fundamentals, you can look into it, which talks about DevOps and Agile together. You will be learning those concepts and you can do a certification. Yeah. Thank you. Next, Gyan.
Yeah, just I have one question regarding for the DevOps certification. Suppose I'm going for generic certification, that is DevOps, that is include the configuration management and other than the cloud certification. Which one is we can go? If you go for generic, then we have to go for the configuration management.
Are you operations guy? Are you operations guy? So what you can do is, one is Ansible. Ansible is a platform by Red Hat. You have specific certification of Ansible, which is quite valid. That is one. Second one is you can also go for CKA, which is Certified Kubernetes Administration, learning this knowledge with some more. You can also apply for CKA or Docker.
Yeah, I will stop you one thing, that better we can go for cloud, right? Cloud also include all the things, right? So which one will go?
I'm giving all the options. Next one is AWS DevOps. So you can do AWS DevOps.
Correct.
We have a few more: Kubernetes or Ansible or Docker. So these four you can do it after these basics once you learn from this. Yeah.
So which one it is available in the market? For AWS cloud, yeah, generic.
All is good. All is good. AWS is good. Ansible is good. Again, in AWS, if you are looking for that is your. I'm talking even option, right? You need to understand which one is. All are good. You will decide which one is suits for you.
Yeah, I have another question. Suppose I have 15 years experience. Now fresher is coming from and learn the DevOps. Correct. So they cannot, they will not look for the experienced guys, right? They have actually, that is tools, right? Anybody can learn and we can do that, right? Why they will go for the experienced guys, correct?
So can we be very specific on the course, please? Because we have still a lot of participants waiting other this thing. So anything specific on the course, I can answer you. Yes, but when you interviews, it is something I can't answer right away. Yeah.
No, not interviews. I'm asking that suppose I have 15 years experience. I will learn the DevOps. Okay. So, and who's having the 2 years experience, the fresher, they also learning the DevOps, right? So the company will not look for the 15 years experience, right? So who they will look for the 2 years experience with fresher, right? So that is one type of tool anybody can learn and then we can work, right?
No, it is not like my point. But you would having people management. You would be learning other tools, right? It is not that all the tools, for example, Chef is quite old, correct? You might be using Chef before itself. You might be using Nagios before itself, correct? You might be using, for example, SVN before itself. So just some modifications. Yeah, I can tell them that this new technology I've learned it, but I've been working on the traditional technology before itself. So that's why you need to prove yourself how you can answer the questions, correct?
Okay. 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 Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Next, Yogesh question. Can this, yeah, it's online. You can attend from anywhere, Rahul. It's online. As long you come from the timings, you can attend from anywhere. Course fees, please reach out to StarAgile. Scrum Master. See, Scrum is very specific to Agile, right? It might be in Scrum, but if you want to also prove yourself on DevOps certification will help you. And 14 experience, free. The certification, I already gave the answers. Certification is going to help you to prove that you're good in learning about DevOps, all the 5 cycles. Yeah. All right, let me start a poll here. So request, I'm going to start a poll, and you can take the poll. Please take 2 or 3 minutes, and then once you've done the poll, again start here. So first question is, when are you planning to take DevOps certificate, the first one? So I'll wait for, let's start. You want to wait for 2 minutes? How long do you want me to wait?
Sir, 15 to 20 seconds is fine, sir.
Okay. So I'll wait for 1 minute to be safer, and then I'll launch the second question. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. StarAgile, are we recording a session?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's on the recording mode, sir.
Okay, please. Okay, sorry. So let's wait. Yeah, it's done. All done, team. Can I go next question? I still see people polling. Can we finish in a minute, please? So IE 40, 36, 52. Okay, almost. %70 people noted. Yeah, in the meanwhile, someone asked a question. You can ask me a question. So let me, so Kumar. Yeah, can you, hi Kumar.
Hi Chaitanya, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Yes, please proceed.
Yeah, so in your PDF, you are saying that 36 hours of training is mandatory and then to complete the certification. So that certification, is it from StarAgile or from the DevOps official authority?
No, this is from StarAgile. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see others not voting, so I'm going to next question. Sajay, can you go next question?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me close this. Let me. The next poll is about, would you be interested in StarAgile upcoming DevOps training on 9th May? So just want a confirmation. So I'm going to launch it. Please take the poll.
Chaitanya, I have one question.
Yes, please.
If I will go for DevOps certification with cloud, that AWS cloud, AWS professional, that is their DevOps, correct? So no need to go for this one. This one generic DevOps, because if we go for generic DevOps, we have to do for Ansible. and all the things, whatever it is there in the generic DevOps for certification.
So for example, if you want to learn AWS DevOps, you need first of all know what is Git and Jenkins, correct? Git and Jenkins, these are the basics for any cloud, correct? So you need to have knowledge of, for example, in AWS DevOps, you directly learn about what is ECS. So you need to know the knowledge of containers first, correct? So I don't think anyone is going to talk about this. Yes, you need to have knowledge of those. So these are the prerequisites for cloud also. I'm talking about the reason in the last one I'm talking about the cloud, just to give an idea. But these are the basics for, even if you learn on any cloud, Azure DevOps, something, these are the basics which is required for you to easily learn a specific cloud DevOps. Yeah.
So after learn, I can go.
Yes.
After learn, I can go for DevOps professional.
Yes. But you have to learn some more modules in that. The basics you will learn from this. But you need to learn, for example, you need to learn about ECS and EKS, for example, in AWS DevOps. You might learn about,
and one more thing, that if you go for Kubernetes certification, that CKA and CKD, right? So it is required for, once again, that we have to go for CKA and CKD certification. If suppose I have done already in the DevOps, AWS DevOps. So like go for the this one CKA and CKD.
That's your call. That's your call. You have to decide on it if required. Depends on your specific work, what you're doing, what is your passion, all these things. Correct.
No, because spending here and also spending here also.
CKA, that's your call.
Again,
that's your call.
No, that okay.
Yeah, Yogesh, the question is, I'm working business analyst. So Yogesh, I talked about this course is going to give a complete idea about all the DevOps concepts, which is very much required for any role these days. And coding background, not mandatory. We're not going to write in any codes in here. We're just going to write in a few lines of code, maybe for a testing. Otherwise, we're not going to write much of code here. You might be writing YAML files, which is not much into coding, very simple to understand, very easy to understand. That is your answer, Yogesh. So question by Venkata is, I'm having 15 years of experience working as test manager. Best course. Yeah. So Venkata, you need to have very good knowledge. I talked about the complete cycles. So I would say this is the best course wherein you understand from all the angles, because a tester, you need to know from all the angles why is this happening. Might be from code testing, might be from performance testing, multiple things are there. So you need to have a complete idea about all the tools. So this would be the right place to start off, Venkata. All right, team, thanks a lot for taking the poll. So I think I've answered all the questions. So for any more questions, you can reach out to StarAgile. I've given you the contacts details in here. You can reach to them. And again, I'm just going to share you. This is the dates. I'm going to confirm these are dates, which is given. And this is where you can reach out to trainings@staragile.com or sales@staragile.com. And these are the spots, Narayan or Praneeth, and these are numbers. And you can reach out to them anytime. So May 9th, I'm going to start online IST time.
Thank you, Chaitanya sir. Thank you for the wonderful session. And I can't see that anyone is asking for a question. So thank you everyone for attending our webinar. And for any other assistance, as Chaitanya sir said, you can reach us on staragile.com. You already have a contact number. So any query, any assistance, feel free to contact us. We will take care.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot once more, team. It was nice teaching you and interacting with you all. Hope I can see you all soon.